was transsexual, and that was when I was about 19. And for the last 10 years, I've had a couple other serious relationships with trans women. And Eric approached me to be in this film, and I could sense the desperation in his voice that he couldn't find any men to be in the series, and I was kind of touched by that. And I thought that if I can contribute anything, then maybe if somebody sees another guy being open about it and talking about it, that because you see a lot of people go through get hurt by the fact that so few guys are willing to be open and talk about it.
My name is Dominique. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I moved to New York in 1997 around to start my transition to become a woman, which I've been living as a woman now for 11 years. I lived in New York for 6 years, and that's how I got to meet a lot of these wonderful people. And Nina is a good friend of mine, and she asked me to be a part of the documentary. And at first I didn't want to be a part of it because I was ashamed. I didn't want people to know about what I was, and because I was, as she said, stealth, and I don't like people to know. But then I said I should be proud of myself and let everyone know that we're people just like everybody else. Just because we were born in the wrong body doesn't make us different from anybody else, and we have to go what we have to do to change and feel better about ourselves. I'm currently an adult entertainer as well. I do movies, and I'm training in Krav Maga, which is the self-defense combative technique from Israel, which I'm training to become an instructor back home in San Diego. So I don't live in New York anymore, but I come and visit, and I speak and record, and I'm glad to be a part of this cast, and I'm glad they have me here, and I'm glad you guys are here to have us.
Project more, because I can't hear anything on the side.
Can you hear us?
I'll show people in the back can hear.
Okay.
Speak up!
Okay. We're going to kind of open it up to you now. We kind of spelled out who we are, each of us at the table, and really just amazing stories of people. And we'd like to hear from you. Any questions you have for us?
A lot of you guys talk about having misgivings about being in the film to begin with. Like you didn't think that it would be a good idea, or like you didn't necessarily, yeah. Well, can you describe, like, talk about why?
More about what your misgivings were?
Yeah, and like why you felt that might not be a good thing for you.
Well, because you're exposing yourself, because this is going, I mean, as soon as like Janet Jackson was brought on, you have to know that this is going to be seen over and over and over again. So, you know, you're kind of called out on the street right then and there, and it's bad enough sometimes when people call you out. You don't know if they're calling you out for the right reason or the wrong reason, but they want to hurt you or they want to say something mean that could just ruin your day. You could be having a great day, and then you get this person go, and then your life is like over. But I think for me, the reason why I did do this project and I decided to be even more open was because of the passing of my mom, and knowing that I'm not going to have children, that I was going to make sure that in this film, I'm going to present that a woman brought me up in the 70s when it was very unpopular to be a single mother, and she has two amazing and powerful children, and that the courage that she instilled with me, that instilled in me, gave me the ability to change my life. And that's something very powerful, and that's something I want to pass on to generations that are going to come after me. And I want my mom to be remembered through me. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to have these children. They're not coming out at me, honey.
I think I was probably the only one that said yes right away. Because I said yes to everything right away. But that's because this is a business for me. Apart from sharing my life story, Alana Star is a commodity. It's my trademark. It's my product. No, it is. It's my product. It's what I sell. You know. For me, I feel very comfortable in sharing my life story and so forth. But I can definitely see why someone wouldn't, because I'm very much used to people criticizing me and saying negative things about me, and my skin is so thick now that, you know, I could care less. But people putting themselves out there to do this is going to bring on a complete different bag of criticisms, insults, because some people are going to be very positive about it, and obviously some people aren't. So, I can definitely understand and do know that it's very important to share these stories, but as well there probably is a lot of trepidation because, for you to stand up and have everyone judge you, it is quite difficult, and you're bound to have to develop some sort of a thick skin to deal with it. But I don't give a shit. But
like Ilana, I pretty much after Robert had showed me the trailer, I said sure I'd be into it. I come up from a time during the '80s when things were happening. There were the club kids, everything was fun. It wasn't as so, oh my God, it's a man. It was like, oh please. But the thing with me was I was taught originally from the beginning from a lady called International Crisis, who's now passed. But basically, each one teach one. And that's the only way that there could be a freedom of anything. Is I don't personally feel that we should have to go through this because everybody has the right to be who and what they want to be. So that we shouldn't have to. We live in a society that makes us have to do these things. So if I can teach one person that they can pass that on, and that this way the next generation that comes up doesn't have to go through what I had to go through, and maybe it could be a better world, be a better life for somebody else, and just teaching is always a wonderful thing, and knowledge is always a wonderful thing. So if in this and through this there becomes more people that know what's going on and what it means, because of course there's so many degrees of transsexuality that it's hard to decipher. It's hard for even when I was coming out at the very beginning, coming out, changing, transitioning. My first thing of kai kai, and which was it's kind of a slang term toward, or I put it easier, transgender women who become lesbians after the fact. That confused the shit out of me. Because for me, that wasn't what it was about. But it also was a learning experience for me, and I also started to get to understand the reason that, we are transsexuals. It's not what's between our legs, it's between what's in our hearts, and what's in between our ears, thank you. And this is what it's about, and that's where transsexualism is, and where everyone's learning. I was learning about it as you all are learning about it, and that's what it's about. And that's why this film is important to not just me and you, but to the world, to understand. And this way there'll be, less anger maybe in the world towards us.
I wanted to say something about the reservations. I actually didn't have reservations because I trusted everyone involved, but my general reservations and the kinds of questions I ask when I am involved, because I am involved in a lot of different kinds of media, is what's the take? How are you going to portray these people? So much that we see of transgender people, specifically women, transgender women out there is really exploitative.
Jerry Springer.
There's countless examples
Right.
of
How many times have
representation.
you played a hooker?
Exactly. I'll get to that. But there's so many representations of transgender women that are exploitative, and I was really excited to be a part of a project that wasn't exploitative, that was really about telling the truth in a humane way about the lives, my life and the lives of these women up here. As an actress, yes, there's not a lot of scripts that are being written that are where they're complicated characters. What trans women are written as complicated characters. That's partly why I got into producing, so that I can help to start creating those stories. But yeah, I played a prostitute the last 3 TV shows. That's 3 acting gigs I've had. I played prostitutes, and I've studied, extensively, and I'm really interested in but I'd rather play a hooker than having some guy put on a wig and play a hooker, because I feel like, hookers are people too, and hookers have
You don't want to get beat up tonight.
prostitutes have a story, they have needs, they have wants, just like everybody else. And you can, as an actor, I feel I don't make that kind of judgment. I think it's about bringing humanity to whatever character that I play. I'm just excited to be a part of a project that's not exploitative, that's really about
Yeah, there's a lot of trust in Robert and Eric. And you, gorgeous.
It's also like when people, if you live a normal life and people don't know that you're transsexual, and as soon as they find out, they treat you like a different way, and you notice like a different eye. And a lot of people don't want to go through their life wondering, oh my God, is this person talking about me? Or when they're looking at like the corner of their eye, are they telling, are they saying something else? So that was my thing about it. I didn't want people to look at me in a different way. I wanted them to treat me like a normal human being, transsexual or not. So that was my reserve. I didn't want everyone to look at me different and treat me different because of who I am. I'd rather them not know and treat me normal than to know and look at you in a different light. So that's why I didn't want to.
More questions?
What is the difference between transsexual and transgender?
I don't think there is.
Actually, can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Can I speak to that actually?
I mean, there's a difference between transvestite and transsexual, but a transgender person is someone.
Again, I'm bringing up Crisis. Crisis was pretty much the one that coined the phrase transgender, okay, back in like 81, whatever. The thing about, the reason why it came about was because the word transsexual, like bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual, has to do with your sex, or what type of sex you want to have, or what you're interested in. Transsexuality has nothing to do with your sex. It's got, I mean, no, it has nothing to do with, come on, transsexuality.
Your sexuality.
It has nothing to do with sex.
I think transsexuality has to do
But it has nothing to do with sex.
well, sex like what?
Like
Sticking
sex.
it in?
Yeah, sticking it in or taking it out or, I don't know, whatever you're doing. It has to do with sex.
But I think
It has to do with your okay, there's transgendered, which means your gender is the third, or is the another level of. Transsexual, and because of the reference of bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual, has put it into a point of it being a sexual term.
So, if I
I
may say
agree with
something,
you.
well,
Okay.
if I may just say something, well, I say this all the time, that people often mistake being transsexual with a sexual preference if it's not. Transsexual is a gender. Transsexual man, transsexual woman, being homosexual, bisexual, straight, that's a sexual preference. There are many transsexuals who are attracted to women, who are attracted to other transsexuals, who may, like myself, who may just like men, who may like everything. It has nothing to do with the other. Just it's one's a gender, and just because it has the word sexual in it, I mean,
doesn't mean it's
don't know, but it doesn't mean the same. It doesn't mean you're transsexual and you are gay. It does not mean that. It just means you have transgressed your sex.
Actually, the way that I understand it, and the way that transgender and versus transsexual is the question I get asked all the time. It's come to be used in the LGBT community now, is that transgender is become an umbrella term to encompass anyone who is gender non-conforming in any way. So a drag queen, a cross-dresser, all these people are transgender. Transsexual is a specifically medical term, medical distinction that denotes that you're undergoing some kind of sex change hormonally, surgically, or both.
But I don't think, if you ask any drag queen if they're transgender, they're going to say, no honey, I'm a gay man.
Okay.
They're not going to say I'm transgender. They're drag queens, they're artists. It's just,
well, yeah, I mean,
I don't think any
they're
drag queen
contentious
I know
terms.
would
They're
say
clearly
they're
really
transgender.
contentious terms. They're really contentious terms.
Well, I think it's the whole thing is
Transsexual,
that
would you agree?
huge spectrum of there's a huge spectrum of transsexuality, transgender. I mean, you can go to cross-dressers who live straight lives, but there are men that are with women. I don't know anybody here who has that situation, and I can understand you not wanting to talk about it. But there are men that there might be a man right here that has women's panties on, and that might turn him on. But he only wants to have sex with women. He has no intention, or I mean, no desire to have sex with a man, but he just loves an Asian provocateur underneath, you know.
What do you call him now, Dina? What do you call him? What's the term?
Cross-dresser.
What I call that,
That's gender non-conforming, yeah.
Right, yeah, but I went to them, so you're basically saying if they went to a therapist's office, that a therapist or a medical professional would say that they're transgender. No, I wouldn't. I just don't think that they would be classified as transgender just because they have a fetish. A fetish doesn't make you, because then that's like
How do
saying,
you
that's like
define
saying being
transgender? How do you define
transgender.
transgender?
I define transgender as somebody, a human, a person, be male or female, that identifies with the sex that they're not physically born with. That's what I consider a transgender person. I don't consider a transgender person someone who puts on a wig. I'm one of the managers at Lucky Chang. I have a lot of girls that work there with me, and they are not all transsexual. They're not all, they're gay. Some of them are gay men, and they put their outfits on. They do a show, and they're into it, and that's what they do. But they're not transgender. They don't want to go and get their full body laser, go get SRS. They don't even think about having breast implants. A transgendered person thinks about
Well,
that.
that's a political.
So she's using the, you're using the terms interchangeably,
No, no, well,
then,
listen,
transgender and transsexual.
But you know what?
That's-
It's just,
yeah.
we don't have to argue about what it means.
I'm not trying to
But
argue.
I think that transgender is just a politically correct term. That's really all it is, to define an umbrella, as she said,
It's
of
not, but not.
people. But it doesn't mean, obviously there's a difference between a transvestite, transsexual. I mean, we can go on and on all night about who thinks this and who thinks that, because.
But as you can see though, it's all being written now.
Well, ultimately, you just have,
But,
I mean,
you know,
ultimately, you have to just identify, with who you are, and that's the most important thing. But it doesn't.
This topic, we can get like looping here all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get on this table.
I just want to, to answer your question in terms of like transsexuals and being transgendered. I consider myself to be transgendered in a sense that when you talk about, from talking to psychologists and talking to psychiatrists, in terms of the definition of transsexual, yes, it does address the sexuality part of being transgender, male, female. And that's what transsexuals is all about. It's like, are you a woman becoming a man, but are you a man becoming a woman? That's transsexuality. But when you talk about transgender, gender is a completely different thing, because it's not about your genital parts. It's not having a penis or having a vagina. Being transgendered, the whole word gender, if you talk about just social issues, but what it means being a female and what it means becoming male, it's not just based on whether you have a vagina or a penis. It goes in your economic sense, in your physical sense, in your political sense. It's like what it means to become a woman, and what is your stature in society as a woman, as a male. Eric and I had long discussions about this, is that, going through the whole transition, I'm post-op, I've been living as a woman, but I've had the surgery for the past it's been 5 years. And one of the things that I encountered, and one of the things that I face now, living as a woman, is that when I talked to psychiatrists and said, well, you're a transsexual, and we talked about the physicality of what it's like to be a man now living as a woman, but what we didn't discuss in this whole discussion the entire time that I was in his care is what it meant to be a woman. Now that I'm living as a woman, physically as a woman, and living in the society, I now have to balance what it's like, and hats off to all the women in the room, is now I have to balance this role in society as a woman, that I cannot assert myself as a man and say that, take charge, I'm a man, I'm the breadwinner. If I decide to have a partner, I have to take in consideration what his role in society and what my role in society is as a woman. And to me, that's the gender issue. And that's what transgender is all about, is understanding that you as a transgender, that you're gonna have to live that life as a woman, knowing the parameters, what it's like to be a woman beyond your vagina, beyond your penis. And to me, that's what transgender is. And I consider myself as transgender, but yes, physically, when you talk about it physically speaking, it's being transsexual, but yet it's far more complex than that.
Psychologically speaking, gender is not what's between your legs, it's what's between your legs.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
That's the
Ultimately, it's
bottom
really
line.
personal.
That is really the bottom line, and I think anybody who studies that could could say that gender is definitely not what's between your legs at all. Because the mind, it's what's between your ears, it's in your mind, and that really defines who you are in every way, not just sexuality. In everything that you do, it's part of your makeup. I mean, I didn't want a vagina because it looked pretty on paper. Because when I was young and my father forced me to look at those magazines, I thought, oh, that's cute, I want one. But, not what it was. It was just that I knew that that was who I was. And I knew that I had a little problem. And a little problem, so I fixed it. But it took a long road to get there.
Okay, next question.
Next question.